Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Woohoo! Party! We're all stuck in the middle with you with the Steelers wheel this morning. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Frivolity. We got the mayor of Vienna driving the bus here this morning. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good. Brian, how are you?
Awesome possum. Always great to hear your voice. And actually, we got an action-packed episode for everybody this morning. We've got the bear is in the house. How you doing this morning, Mr. Bear?
Can I say what we were talking about before?
Something about your spherical objects being hot?
Exactly.
Had a lot of fun over the weekend watching the UFC. I think that's what it's called. With Andrew and his crew at his place. That was a lot of fun, and internet memes flying. And I think that guy's going to become a household name. I think his name was Lewis. So keep your eye open for that. I was showing Thomas what we were watching over the weekend, and I'm sure he's going to have some funny memes. For us. So it's really cool that we've got the Mr. Bear in the house. He's going to give us a full rundown of what he's seen in the market. So awesome. We got Alex driving the bus, being the dudest dude in Vienna. Are you in Vienna or are you in Linz now?
No, I'm in Vienna, yeah.
Oh, the captain of Vienna. All right. And actually, as it's sort of a special treat to get us going here, I always like to do it because I think it's really good benefit for you guys just to know what the plan is. Mr. Sjord, Legoland man himself, has come on here first thing Monday morning to give us an update of how his Lego village is going. I see part of it has been delegated to garbage bag land, but those poor Lego people, I'm sure they will survive. But look at that big smile on his face. Such a handsome guy. Oh, there you go. How you doing this morning, Sjord?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So we were told that he has about a 3.5 minute window here while dinner is coming out of the oven to give us his update. So we thought we'd start off first thing this morning just with a quick Sjord, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? What do you want to tell these people? And what should they expect next out of TRI?
Yeah, so last week what I did was work on some marketing stuff. We're still waiting on paperwork from the bank to integrate Stripe, so that besides PayPal, you also have the possibility to pay with Stripe. And some small enhancements on the website. For example, let me quickly show the website. I think I can do that, by the way. Can I? No, I think I can't.
Right now, we're seeing your, I guess your profile pic.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go.
There you go. Now you're showing the site. Good.
So on the left-hand side, some small enhancements, for example, around the site. But one of those was, for example, that now on the left-hand side, your level 1, 2, or 3 classes, the links to the chat room are shown if you're enrolled in the course. So all kind of small fixes, and also the screener section. We have some results now, but you will see funny stuff going on here during this week. First, I wanted to do it private, but then now I'm just going to do it public on this page. So basically what you will see here at the moment are daily and hourly results mixed throughout each other. But that will get a bit more organized during the week. So I hope that at the end of this week, we have some small screeners, organized screener results. And this week is mostly about creating a statistics and debugging page for myself so that we can see if all processes are running smooth, if there are any problems with the screeners, if everything is going as expected. So that's it for this week. And I will post some screener results in the lounge from day to day. But don't be scared if you see this page changing on an hourly or daily basis during this week.
Awesome. So I'm hearing that you feel pretty confident things are just slowly moving forward in the direction you wanted to see.
Yes, definitely. And I also had some great feedback from the guys over in the Netherlands as well, where we did some hangouts during the week. And that's just so valuable to talk with all you guys and get the input for the screeners.
Yeah, totally. 1 + 1 = 3. Thank you very much, everybody, for helping make this a better place. And that Dutch group totally rocks. You guys are the bestest. And I'm almost tempted to just simply hop on a red eye, like maybe like the 12th or 13th of December, and be there for the UK meetup, and then pop on over and have a nice dinner with you guys over in Breda or something. Because man, I miss you guys too. You're all such nice people. So way to go, Stuart. Thank you very much for the update. Totally appreciate that. And by all means, Albert is sort of part of the team. I don't know whether you got a microphone, Albert, but if you want to say hi to the good folks, and by all means, if you want to maybe like make a plan Monday mornings, if there's anything particular marketing wise or anything that helps you that the community can help you with, you have like sort of a window if you want to talk to the community. Doesn't look like he has a microphone here today. It's kind of short notice, but just so you know that this avenue to communicate to the community is here for you. Okay, Albert. All right. So without further ado, and frankly speaking, it is a bit of a holiday today. Like in Canada, for instance, it's Thanksgiving. And actually, I slept in a little bit this morning. I apologize, guys, but. It is technically a holiday here in Canada. It's sort of a half holiday in the States. I'm not even quite sure if there is a holiday in Europe or not this weekend. So a little bit screwy price action, but nonetheless, we're actually quite fortunate. We do have the Bear here with us this morning. So, Mr. Bear, what are you seeing in the market these days? Are you feeling bullish or bearish, or maybe a little bit of both?
Well, you're right. It is a holiday today here. It's used to be referred to as Columbus Day, but that was sort of, shall we say, disrespectful to the they're calling it Indigenous People Day, and it was sort of disrespectful to them. So that's why it's been renamed. Banks are closed.
It technically is not called Columbus Day anymore in the States?
No, it's not. It's Indigenous People Day.
That's great. Yeah. Get used to the politically correct world we live in, guys. It's only going to get worse from here.
That's for sure. So banks are closed. Stock market is open, but the bond market is closed. And
okay.
I woke up this morning and futures were kind of all over the place. They were down, they were up. And I had this feeling that the market wasn't really going to do much today because the bond market was closed. And I think the reason why stocks are moving so much is a product of the 10-year breaking out and people kind of being confused as to what they should be positioning themselves for. But I mean, we pretty much went flat this morning. And now I think the latest is the market's down about 160 points. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it settle down a little bit. Maybe there's some people on vacation, or there isn't ways for people to position themselves properly through defensive positions, is what I was hearing. And therefore, the damage may not be as severe today as it could potentially be if the bond market was open. But, the market will do any old damn thing it wants. So we're seeing the Dow down. We're seeing almost everything down across the board. And I mean, you take a look at a Dow chart. I mean, this top is firmly in place. Take a look at an S&P chart. This Dow chart has this kind of empire formation here working alongside a potential divergence, which I think is confirmed today. So this divergence from here to here is confirmed, and now we're waiting for even bigger ones to confirm. And I think if we confirm this one, then we're in big trouble on the Dow. And of course, if we can get below this level, then it's lights out, and we'll see some real panic. But it's just getting started. Hopefully you positioned yourself from last week to at least hedge or do something with your portfolio. I've kind of taken additional purchases on the dog. I was buying that earlier in the summer. I bought some more over the last couple of days as well. And, that's not really the perfect hedge, but it's just some way of absorbing some of the impact, and it's not going to move that much. The S&P Same thing here. This one's really gotten going. This is our nice market structure top. I'm kind of expecting a little bit of a pullback, like a bounce back up and tagging this 13 EMA here, maybe the neckline, and then rolling over. Now, if we don't and we go straight to 38.2, then I think that'll be the extent of the move. But if we do kind of like pull back here and then give us another move downward, I think that gives us the gives everyone their second chance opportunity to get in. And that's something that I've heard all Wall Street guys talking about before, because I was thinking my neckline tag thing can't be my own idea. That's got to be something that has been around for a while. And sure enough, it is a strategy that a lot of these institutions will use when it comes to trying to get into positions once they've already come true. So it's interesting.
I mean, I don't mean to be rude because you're fucking smarter than a whip, but really this goes back like over 100 years to Wyckoff. So you could argue that this is in essence, like the Wyckoff picture we show is a bull market, but you can use the exact same logic for Wyckoff in a bear market. Same logic. So, yep. In essence, your neckline now is going to be significant resistance. And what's interesting too is you can see, I guess, and I can't see the dates, but I think it says, geez, I can't even see what that says on your screen because of the little pictures.
I like when
the peak there from August and then the peak later on in the month, that looks like it corresponds well with your sort of neckline fail of the M. That to me looks like a massive line of resistance in the market. All right. Well, your screen just went blank. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I apologize to do that to you, dude. Don't worry about it. You're it's all good. It's all good.
No, it's cool. I like when I can tell when you're leaning in to try to look at my screen, because your voice gets louder and more clear as you're
because I get closer to the microphone. Yeah. Does that sound a little bit better? Now I've got my face right up against the screen.
I mean, wow, it sounds like you're right in my ear.
Oh, really? So, and I'm not very good at this stuff, but I really should have the microphone like really close to my face.
I mean, you sound great either way. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. Hugs and kisses.
So, I mean, as far as market structure is concerned, obviously this is already here. And then what we were talking about on the Dow in terms of divergences confirming, you can see this huge one here has confirmed after crossing below here. So the S&P looks real crappy compared to the Dow. And that kind of makes sense, right? A lot of people, foreign money, scared money from around the world, there's really no better place to park it right now than in the Dow. And that's because there are proxies for them to invest in the Dow through that instrument. Now, as far as the S&P, I don't think that you're going to see those capital flows like you do in the Dow. And maybe this will come off more on a percent per percent basis than the Dow will. But, this is anyone's guess at this point. But I mean, this looks like shit.
Yeah, I think also too, money is fleeing tech. And it feels like that like this whole social media sort of phenomenon, it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And now I'm hearing that the sort of tone of social media is, they've filled out as far as they can, and now maybe it's time for some back checking. And I noticed like our buddy Amazon, and it'd be really interesting to hear from Alex how close it got to I remember, Alex, wasn't your objective like 1987 or something?
I'm out of that trade since like I think August, so that's long gone. But I actually posted in the chat there an Amazon chart on the hyperwave.
And what was the ultimate target that it wanted? Did it say? What's this target here? Anyway, long and short of it here is we got to that objective, and quite often what we see is the market actually goes a little bit beyond. Of course, who's buying beyond the objective? The public, right? And now in comes, and I was actually quite surprised that that's a pretty well-defined MA. So, yet another sort of anecdote that money is sort of, okay, enough is enough with this social story, and now it feels like it's unwinding a little bit. So
yeah, totally. And the other thing is, I think there's some how shall we call it, there's a lot of public awareness going into what social media stands for, especially when it comes to sort of, I mean, it's not quite foreign policy, but we're seeing a lot of people analyzing what's going on in foreign countries, and there's this big issue in Burma with a lot of hate speech spreading around, and the indigenous people there were very against the there were other communities kind of coming in, and there was a lot of racism, and Facebook's kind of language algorithm didn't pick up on that. And people are kind of realizing that, you know, maybe Facebook is just full of shit, and everyone's just posting things that really don't carry much weight, and it's just a platform for people to express their, you know, call it their views, which can sometimes be extremely racist. And the real value proposition for these things just isn't there anymore. And that's really a product of why these social media names are going down. I mean, you look across the board, Facebook, Facebook, Twitter, and then even more so, we've been talking about Snapchat for a while here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Snapchat delisted eventually. I think this stock is dead. There's really no use for it. Millennials were the main target. Their ads are terrible. Instagram has certainly kind of replaced Snapchat in that arena. There's just no draw here, and there's no advertising being funneled into it. And I think advertising companies are going to realize their money's just better spent elsewhere. And I mean, look at this thing. This is just one-way direction downward. Could you play it for a dead cat bounce? I would wait for some structure and 3 reasons, because this one just looks horrible, and I'd look for a fundamental driver for why you'd want to adopt this again.
I think I did add a tweet, and a couple AB equals CDs are actually painting down into the $2-3 range. And if you actually look at even now, like price to book is very, very high on this thing. So they just don't have that many assets. And so you put the two together, and they seem to be painting about a $2 or $3 target. And then also too, guys, we got to remember, right, where are we in this economic cycle? You know, we will hit the end of the first 2 weeks of the quarter at the end of this week. But what do you think, guys? Like, economic cycle, does it make sense that we're not really in part of the cycle that's friendly towards technology stocks? I mean, if anything, this should be like a really, really good lesson for all you new people to the market that, you know, sometimes, you know, the market is in a particular cycle that just is not friendly to particular sectors. And even though people go, well, tech, I thought tech was like the shit, man. I thought it was going to reinvent the wheel, all that kind of talk. Let's see if I can pull this up here really quickly. Okay, so far, here is our first 2 week study. Interestingly, money is moving into financials and utilities here, but you can clearly see money is leaving cyclicals and tech. We kind of thought last week, and of course, we'll have to see how this week ends. But we sort of thought prior that we were sort of in this part of the cycle. Remember, healthcare was outperforming, which was the market top. If we're starting to get utilities and financials outperforming, then that's not what we want to see, is it? Do you see how this is all playing out, guys? Isn't it remarkable? I don't know. Can anybody see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Well, so, that's cool. You know, let's keep an eye on how the rest of this 2 weeks goes. But clearly you can see money is panicking and flowing into the utilities and the financials to a certain degree. And clearly we are not in the part of the cycle that's friendly to tech or cyclicals. But just, you know, like we, you know, last quarter's report said that we were at the top of the market and healthcare was supposed to outperform, which it did. Really, and actually, I think I saw David Davis. He was posting, you know, bank stocks and stuff like that. It would be interesting to see what our utilities are looking like. I haven't really looked at utility stocks in a while. But if anything, I'm thinking that we're in this part of, you know, the market's topped. We're now getting ready for the recession, the bear market. Everything's sort of playing out almost right on cue. So let's keep an eye out through the end of the week. My hunch is tech's probably going to, as you know, usually what ends up happening, you know, we're having an absolute meltdown here. Today is a holiday. sort of that semi-funny holiday. We were talking about the banks or the bond markets actually closed today. So we might find that this is a little bit overdone today, and you see a bit of a snapback tomorrow. That usually happens on holidays. So be cognizant of that. But I think it's just really important to keep in mind that we're still in that first 2 weeks of the quarter. And if we are in this part of the economic cycle, then really we should be looking for utilities and financials to outperform here. All right. And of course, we look at a chart of Facebook, and this is quite remarkable. This is only like 5 years. This is like a 10 bagger. So, you know, like look at this big old tail in here, key support right along here. Looks like there's some cheeky gaps in here. You know, the stock I wanted to really mention here today, and I'm glad that Raf was able to get back in here because he and his UK group were all excited about this Planet Fitness short. And I got to tell you, man, these guys are going to make a fortune on this trade. So you can see it's already just rocking and rolling here, just going into free fall. So here's a great example where a company is just way over leveraged and the interest rate market just could totally slaughter them. So hats off to Raf and the UK group, Bobo, Warwick, all you guys. Great call there. Looks like you're going to get paid. So way to go, guys. All right. I'm blabbing again. Sorry. Shut up, Brian. Go ahead, Thomas.
No blabbing. Good info. Never a blab. VIX has officially broken out again. This is a double, well, it's a messy W down in here, but this little tight W is confirmed on Friday and continues its movement upward. I guess if you want to ignore this lower part here, you could maybe draw a wide W. Actually, I'm interested to see what this looks like on the weekly. I'm going to really be sad if this has a nice big weekly W on it. It's pretty good. Oh, it's there. Oh, great. All right. So this confirms this week. This could certainly start to spell some real trouble for anyone who decided to short the VIX. Buying calls at this point on a weekly basis, while much more risky, after today's, or I guess it's this week's close, will confirm that weekly bottom. And then this is actually valid divergence that's confirming this week too. So things are getting real looking bleh on the VIX if you're kind of long the stock market. But this, I don't even know if I can get in on a trade like this. I guess I'd probably, if I were to try to buy calls, I'd probably look for the market to fill this gap here on a weekly basis. But boy, this will take a couple weeks for the trade to come in. I guess it's possible since I missed the daily trade. So maybe I'll keep that in mind and try to talk about it once a week as opposed to every day on this VIX thing, because now I'm officially shut out on a daily perspective. But you can see.
And I almost get the feeling like the market is setting up that, you know, the election's coming up. It's less than a month away now, right?
Yeah.
So it almost feels, I hate to say it, guys, but this almost feels like they're actually setting the market up to rally following the election. So I could see some, you know, funniness go on here. And then, you know, those gaps will probably want to be filled back in, Thomas. So just, you know, go slowly there, please. Be careful.
Yeah, I've gone slowly on the VIX here. It's been a couple months. But as far as other things that we like to watch, which include the dollar has, I mean, it tagged kind of into our reload zone on Thursday of last week, and we came off into Friday. Today's action just sort of filling in gaps that were left behind. I think the generalized direction on the dollar is still bullish. You can see this bullish divergence is still playing out. If we get some topping action on the dollar, you'd start to look for some pullbacks. I think there's still a little bit more room to go on the upside. So I'd be a little careful if you're looking to short the dollar or go long other proxy currencies. I'd wait for signs that, I mean, this is really what I've used to keep myself out of trouble when trading other proxies that closely follow the dollar is I wait for signs that the dollar has either bottomed or topped, and then I go and hunt in those other areas, and it kind of keeps me honest and keeps me out of trouble. So this is one way of doing that, and in my opinion, this isn't done moving to the upside. So if you're a currency or a forex trader, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. If you are a commodity trader and you're looking at gold and silver, gold should be pulling back a little bit today, and there you go. So we've got this tight little market structure top here in gold, and we're testing the bottom end of this most recent range from the end of August. And if these levels fail, that means the dollar is probably broken out beyond our reload zone. So I wouldn't expect gold to fail terribly here unless the dollar does break out above, call it, the 97 handle. And that's a lot to go on the upside. Really, it's 96 3/4. So maybe another dollar here and change on the dollar. And as far as silver, I've been trying to eye SLV calls, but I'm still reluctant to take those. And it's a good thing I didn't, because we just kind of collapsed here. I mean, SLV's been all over the place and really isn't correlating well to the dollar, to gold. I mean, it's following the dollar a little bit better, but I mean, can I take a shot here? I mean, according to my plan, I really should be buying retests of necklines and in place of divergences, but God, I missed this trade before. Now I have a second chance. Do I take it? I'll have to price out those calls. I bet those actually look really good. Maybe we can do that really quickly and then transition to crypto. I don't know. Is that worthwhile doing, Brian, or should we save the people's time here?
Yeah, you're halfway there now. You might as well just plug the symbol in.
All right.
And you know what would be really kind of a fun assignment is you shop for some options, and then I'll pull up the big charts and see if we can get a chart of the option and see if we can find any W's in the options themselves. Let's see, where's that screen?
Yeah, that'd be really cool. That's great information for people. The big chart stuff where you can actually see the price fluctuations in the underlying options prices themselves. I mean, it's so valuable. I wish TradingView would give us that information. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Did I lose that page? Oh, fudgesicles. I hate when I do that. So I will go on mute and you find an option that looks interesting. Let's see if I can put my head on straight here.
All right, let me get our delayed quotes here. Quote table, SLV. Come on. While Chrome has slightly sped up for me, it's still, I mean, the most recent update is still a piece of work. And I've seen a couple people post in the lounge that they're also having trouble. I talked last week that Jesse from, I think, Australia gave me the idea to use this great suspender plugin, and that's certainly helped things. But I like being able to click my tabs and have them ready to go right away, and that doesn't seem to really be helping. I mean, it definitely is helping, but it's not quite the speed and positive workflow that I'm looking for here. So I'm looking for about 6 months worth of time on SLV. This probably won't price out well. Usually if I'm pricing the SLV moves, I'm going to be a little more aggressive and I'll play a couple months worth of time. But for all intents and purposes of teaching this the right way, we should really look for 6 months of time. And that brings us to April. So we're going to look for all options in range. We look at our chart. I'm going to look for about $15 calls. So to 1470 is my target at the 50% level. So I should be looking for anything that's 35 cents or less in the $14 area. And let's see what those calls are priced out at here. So $14, I mean, those are more than double the price. So I can't even touch these. This is way too much money. And, sometimes it makes you wonder, did I do this right?
Well, and then we look at the option chart itself, and it looks pretty splotchy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the trade itself needs a little bit more time to sort of fill out, I guess is the way I would put it. March is usually a pretty big fat contract. So let's see what these guys are looking like. $15 is pretty, oh, there we go. So that's a little bit better looking chart. So I don't know whether you can see that. This is the March $15 call. So gapping lower this morning, a little bit dangerous. You can see how they actually, and I know it's kind of a crappy chart, but hey, at least we get a chart. I think I can change the size of this. How do we do that? It's one of these size. There we go. So let's see if we can change that to. There we go. All right. So you can see how they put the double bottom in the option, but look how they left that gap there at like 20, 30 cents. So if anything, it was a little bit of a tell that we had to come back down, and sure enough, we are there. So yeah, I mean, I can understand there is your double bottom that you're interested in, and RAF, there's your big volume breakout bar right there, on that option. Probably a little late to come to this, and now, probably best to wait for some sort of W action down in there. So, I mean, I'll throw that on the site if it helps at all. If you want to practice hunting these options on big charts. Oh, look at that mess. Yeah. Anyway, there is the link. And it's weird how they do this, right? This is like sort of like 10, 15-year-old internet technology where they put the whole chart address and everything all in the URL. So you can go up in the URL and play around with this a little bit to get a different looking chart. So kind of a fun experiment we did here this morning. And ideally, I'd love to see a nice, well-defined W there. You can see with all these gaps, it's a little bit splotchy. All right, so splotchy, I think, is probably the trade. Oh, look at what Raf's got on here. Cool stuff. Maximum pain. Oh, yeah, we used to have somebody used to do, I think Julian used to do those max pain studies all the time. So thank you, Raf. Cool stuff. Okay, shall we head on over to crypto? Crypto.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Once upon a time in a land far, far away. I had actually put this tweet out yesterday, just simply saying that it looks to me like we got a bit of a diamond pattern forming here, and we can't really conclude too much until, this is the GDAX chart. So, of course, all your various markets are going to look slightly different. But 67, and I thought this was interesting, 6716.16. So, obviously, somebody really likes the number 16 there. On the upside, and then 6390, we'll call it, on the downside. And last week painted just an inside bar. And we've got a nice little uptick this morning, but I don't know whether we can really declare the bull until we get through this 6716 area on the weekly charts. And that's sort of what I was talking about yesterday. One thing I was really interested in, I was quite surprised at, was our RSI study on the this is the Bitcoin Tether, put in another, and one hell of a battle, hey? We went W, I'm feeling bullish, another W, and I'll get a buy signal. That never came in. Big M, okay, well, the bull's back in the box. Then they went and broke the M. Okay, so the bear's back in the box and the bull's back in the box. Who's going to take over? Here comes a big fat W. Now, keep in mind, this is a daily chart, so that means we can't really declare anything here until the actual day has printed and finished. And keep in mind, today's a holiday session, so we might see some screwery here before the end of the day. But this is starting to look actually very positive, and considering, our sort of, meltdown talk about stock market and growth proxies in the stock market, maybe that corresponds. Maybe we're starting to see a bit of Tom Lee's sort of thinking that Bitcoin acts as a great sort of alpha neutralizer for portfolios. And if we sort of look at the broader market, where did I do that chart? I thought I had it on here, but it might have been the other one. You're starting to see that sort of that diversification thesis in these assets, and I think that bodes well for crypto. So, stock markets, and you can see they're coming off the lows already here. So you can see there's a little bit of screwery going on in the market today because of the holiday. I think China actually had a holiday or something last week, because I noticed when this opened up last night, the M confirmed and price just came screaming down here. So I have a feeling China was playing a bit of catch up there. But I guess what I'm trying to point out to you here is hopefully everybody can see that, the best thing for Bitcoin is to be non-correlated with these assets, and that sort of makes the argument as a good diversification tool. I just don't know whether we're quite ready to, quote unquote, break out here yet. We're awfully close. But didn't quite get the breakout signals on these sort of intraday charts that I was hoping to see. We got up through these highs, so that's encouraging. This topping area didn't play out, so that's good. But if the stock market gets a little happier, we might see that this is a short-term top, and then we have to spend a good chunk of the week backfilling this a bit here. So that's sort of what I'm seeing right at the moment. And I saw a lot of sort of names jumped up this morning. This OMG, I'm very interested in watching this. I saw this actually put in a cute little W here this morning. So let's see if that thing pans out. Went and picked up a little bit of the, what the hell else did I buy here? Bought a little bit of this Verge with the tether, and you can see that perked up here a little bit this morning. So that's feeling a little bit better. There was one other name that, the Decred, I think. Yeah, DCR. So I'm starting to build a position. I got filled on a third of this, but that looks like it's doing a little bit better. But I did notice, kind of like the OMG that you see here right now, maybe the New York kill zone sort of euphoria. It's now 9:30 in the morning. A lot of that sort of initial bounce out of the market is played itself out. So again, let's see whether the stock market sort of calms down here through the day, and whether these things all have to sort of back off here a little bit. Take today's action with a little bit of grain of salt because of the holiday environment. But on balance, I'm feeling a little bit more positive about crypto in the space. And I'd like to now turn it over to Mr. Bear, and I want to see what his perspective is.
Yeah, this was an interesting weekend. I actually ended up having a really great trade on Ethereum that I did through Bitcoin. I'll just touch on that quickly before I jump back to Bitcoin. And it actually ended very miserably for me. And this is pretty rare for this to happen. But I have issues on OKCoin working stops and target orders at the same time. So essentially what happened was I went long from about, I don't know, I think I talked about Friday morning going long on the show. And I had a target up in a reload zone of about 230 something. And all these fibs are gone because I've been messing with my chart. But essentially on this wick up here, I had orders to sell at, oh no, I guess it's back here, October 5th. Yeah, that was Friday. So I had orders to sell at about 232. And what happened was they didn't execute because I had a trigger order set for my stop. And usually what I do is I take off my stops once we put in market structure, in addition to the original structure that I had, because I think I went long down around here on a retest. Yeah, so this is where I went long from. And essentially, because I had that trigger order set and I didn't take it off, the market didn't execute my limit order. And I ended up not only booking a really nice profit, but I ended up not being able to get out of the trade because I thought that it did end up executing, and stupid me for not logging in and checking to make sure everything was okay. And by the time I logged in, market had already been pulling back into the next morning, and it was just not a happy time. So I ended up kind of getting screwed out on this position. And that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm looking to position myself long again because I still think we're establishing a really solid floor, not only here on Ethereum, and I'll jump back to that in a minute, but on Bitcoin. So I'm sorry I'm jumping around here. It was almost like my live journal. Woe is me, I missed my profit. But here's our weekly chart on Bitcoin. And we've got that confirmed divergence working. We've got our market structure W that we're waiting for confirmation, or at least to come in here. So maybe we've got another couple weeks to go before we really rocket ship higher on the weekly chart. But anything's possible here on the weekly. Maybe we do jump up, tag this 13 EMA, kind of go sideways a little bit. But I was really impressed by the action that we saw over the weekend, and that nothing went crazy. There were no margin call runs on OKCoin. There were no serious moves in price. I mean, sure, if you're a day trader, you could.
Did you hear what happened to Litecoin on, I think it was Stamp? Something really weird happened over the
weekend. There was a bot that went crazy that ended up either selling. I think it wasn't limited to Litecoin. I think it was Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin that this bot ended up kind of shitting the bed and kind of went rogue and crashed Litecoin. And I think Ethereum also got a big tail down below. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it was a disaster on Stamp. And I think they even halted trading for a while. So that was,
good old crypto, never a dull moment. We were in the middle of listening to guys talking about their sweaty balls, but I wasn't at the post. But when I came on this Sunday morning, people were like, "Did you see what happened on Stamp? Oh my God, what the fuck?" But I thought what was really interesting about that was, I like to follow these. We've been following this now for a while and really student of the market. I'm just in learning mode. I'm just watching and trying to figure out the logic of this. But I thought it was really interesting through the weekend. Our ultimate leading indicator, good old Stampy, actually went in and put a double bottom in the longs. And the longs have just been going absolutely insane to the upside here on Litecoin. So I don't know whether that's a nice little leading indicator tell, but that was encouraging to see. And I don't know whether that's a function of, the guys. I guess this is maybe the guy who was shorting, this is Finnick, so it's not Stamp, but maybe the shorts that were participating in that, they all got chicken shit and dumped. But it was very interesting to see the longs just exploded here on Litecoin. I don't know what that means, but it is interesting information. And as a leading indicator, hopefully that's positive for us going forward here. I don't know. Do you have what is that? I haven't even looked at a Litecoin chart. Would you consider buying it here?
I think it's probably broken out a little bit. This is what happens when that plugin suspends one of your tabs.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, it's like a little happy face window.
All right.
From memory, I would say that it's probably a little, I'd be working bids is really what I'd be doing. And we're not that far away. I mean, look at the way this market's trying to base. I haven't seen action like this through a weekend for a couple months now. And it's nice to see that the market's trying to put in somewhat of a bottom. And you have a bunch of W's coming in here. So you've got a lot of evidence that the market's trying to bottom. As far as where I'd be picking up some Litecoin, kind of like your idea of what you said about Bitcoin, that maybe this thing needs to come down just a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked to see it come back down into the 57, and maybe if it gets that low, I'd certainly pick up more, but probably the $58 range is where I'd be looking to pick up some of this.
I look at your profile there and you can sort of see the ledge right on the POC there, eh?
Yeah,
I could see it. And really, would that line up with that sort of neckline thesis that you have off of the highs from whatever the hell date that is?
Yeah, I'd be looking. You're talking in the 7th or the
actually, yeah, those candle body closes in there. I kind of like that W level there, and that basically is the POC.
Yeah,
so,
I'd be
kind of slammed down into 58 and a quarter, somewhere in that area. I think actually that's a buy. But,
yep. Definitely agree.
Yeah. So, if anything, again, I have to caution everybody, just be careful. Is this a function of just this screwy holiday weekend? And, the stock market is, they're kind of losing their mind right now. So we can't go and just FOMO chase this shit. But I am actually feeling a lot more positive about the crypto space right now, I got to tell you. So that's good.
Me too, actually. I really like what we're seeing. I mean, look, we've kind of talked technicals here. Should we pop on into some altcoin news?
Oh, sure. Right. What the hell? Why not?
Yeah, I mean, as far as hunting longs, it's pretty simple. You're really looking to get in on pullbacks here as we come back down. And it looks like things have taken off just a little bit into Monday's action. I wouldn't be shocked to see tonight into London kill zone and tomorrow's, London kill zone also, and maybe even into New York kill zone tomorrow morning, that this market really tries to establish itself on the upside. Today may just be a little washy, and it is really fascinating to see this inverse correlation between the Dow and the stock market. As the Dow was pulling back, Bitcoin was catching a bid, and the opposite as of right now. It seems like the stock market.
And this is the interesting thing is crypto hasn't been through a recession yet. So I don't think anybody can actually give you a straight answer of what crypto is going to do if the stock market rolls over hard here. I don't think anybody knows. I mean, we're all students of the market here, guys. So this is it. We're living history right now. Make sure to have those journals out, because 10, 15, 20 years from now, this is going to be incredibly valuable information if you record this. All right. So, have you got some altcoin news that you were interested in imparting on to our community here?
I do. I've got two articles. They're not too crazy. It's just kind of some light news. The first article is about 0x. That seemed to have caught a bid, and they're claiming the reason for this is because of rumors that they're going to be listed on Coinbase. I felt like this was a headline a long time ago. I don't know why this is coming out again, but there's a couple of other sites that were picking up on this. And interestingly enough, oh, so here we are. So this is why this is coming out. So to ensure you can download all of your reports, please enable pop-ups. So this showed up on someone's screen. Obviously, you've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and then all of a sudden it's got this ZRX wallet here. And that's the news for why this thing jumped. Now, is this photoshopped? I'm no expert at that. I could zoom in and check for pixel manipulation, but that's like as amateur as it gets for me, or as professional as it gets for me detecting that kind of stuff. But either way, there's no doubt about it. That market did catch a bid. If this thing does get listed on Coinbase, that kind of opens up the floodgates for a lot of these other names being potentially listed. So keep an eye out if you can monitor some of these sites, or even if you can reproduce this. I don't know where they found that, but that's interesting. Oh, these are under the tax reports. I see. So they have this wallet under potential tax report download. So they launched that a little early. I don't know if it's real again. So take it with a grain of salt. If it is true, great. Remember, this already came out once and it wasn't listed. So it is what it is, and it's interesting nonetheless. And this is the same article again, which I did not mean to take. But this other article, and there's just so much of this crap. It's like, why are there so many Ripple fanboys? I don't get it. They're literally die-hard fans. I mean, they will go down with this coin. They'll hold millions of dollars worth of it. I mean, it's like, the classic hodler, whether you're a Bitcoin hodler or a Ripple hodler. Same thing here. I mean, they're just diehard, and they're trying to make Ripple the official cryptocurrency of the Olympics. I mean, come on. If they can secure that, I mean, that's a world stage of advertising that is definitely unrivaled, and that'll bring a lot of attention to Ripple. And there's a lot of attention being brought to it right now. And as much as I don't understand what the value is behind one Ripple, and we always joke about that, Brian's always said, tell me what one Ripple should be worth and why it should be worth that, and I'll buy the damn thing. I don't get it. I still don't understand the valuation here. There's a lot of coverage. There's a lot of attention being pointed toward Ripple right now. I hate to say that it might actually be worthwhile holding some of it from my perspective. I may just pick up a scoop of it at some point here because they're positioning themselves. The guys that are running this, they're smart dudes. They are positioned, they have connections in high places. They're installing their X-Current system in all the banks. Ripple's just being installed into the world, whether we like it or not. And I think that maybe, sometime
check out my squiggly line theory, though, eh? Not bad forecast.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, cool. So I think, I maybe a bot is setting up here for another big blast higher. That'd be awesome. I think probably still a little bit early for us to call the bottom, but it's for firming up here.
Yeah, fundamentally, it's just I can't ignore it, right? There's just so much of this evidence coming out that maybe there is something to this that insiders are interested in. Now, there was that article last week that Jed McCaleb was selling some of his Ripple. So that's insiders trying to get out, but he was out. He's been out of Ripple for a while and moved on to other projects. And as far as the other guys, I mean, this isn't transparent, right? We don't know how many and what they're selling and when they're selling, just like you would have access to that information in the equity market. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are, that information isn't available. But I mean, if I were an insider and, somebody bought down here, right? This little double bottom sure shot up pretty quickly in the face of this market structure top. So something is brewing here. And then Brian's got his ABCDs drawn. So there's an idea. I know we all hate the cripple, but something's brewing. And that's pretty much the news. I mean, everything I went through and scanned for, every article, and this is kind of what scares me a little bit, is there are way too many news articles saying that, oh, this lack of volatility is really great for the market, and everyone's positioning themselves bullish for a move incoming. And to see that article after article on these feeds, I don't know if that's a good thing here, because if everyone's thinking long, well, you all know what happens when everyone's on one side of the boat. It tips over. And I don't want to see that here. And just the fact that everyone's just been waiting for this thing to calm down, and it is calming down now, everyone's going long. Now, if you want to use a good example for what happened the last time we went through one of these, you really have to bring up a long-term chart of Bitcoin, go back to 2014, 2015, and take a look at what the market looked like as it came down. How long did it actually take to go back up? And it took a long ass time. It was frustrating, and it really tested your patience. I don't think this market's ready to make new highs just yet. I do think that we're trying to position ourselves for a bounce, but what does that really mean in the bigger picture of things? Come on, where do I get this thing? So we got to go back to 2014. And I had a nice roadmap that I was using sort of in the initial dump, and I don't have that anymore. And why is OKCoin not going back further than, okay.
That's as far back as OKCoin.
Oh, you're right. I had to use a stamp chart.
Or sleepies.
Oh, well.
It's all good.
I mean, I guess just to describe what it looked like, we didn't really bottom until about August, September, maybe a few months after that. But we had times where it looked like we were pointing up, and there would be W's, and we'd get excited, and then the market would just crap out again. And that's what I would unfortunately, I kind of think that's what's going to happen here. This market looks really great. Maybe it pops $1,000 or something. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of this kind of bottoming action. This is what these markets do. This is how they behave. If you are new to this and you weren't around back then, you really should just print out, take 2013, 2014, print out the chart with the times or the date range in which it took the market to action, to bottom, print it out, put it on top of your desk, put it on your wall, whatever, and just remind yourself that there's really no rush. This market's not going to explode bajillions of dollars higher overnight. Watch it happen tomorrow. It's like, Thomas, you really don't know what you're talking about. But that's not.
Never say never.
I know. Great. Look what I just did. Just tempted fate. We'd all be real happy, myself included, if that happened. But so let's go back here in time and see what this looked like. And it wasn't fun, right? You can see from about the beginning of the year, and this looks slightly different, right? These are the bounces that we had. And of course, my Chrome is slow as molasses. So here we go. Here's your topping action into the beginning of the year. Very similar to what we saw late 2017. We came down. Here we are. This is present day, October. So October 2014. This is close to where we are right now. This was like our V bottom bounce. And then maybe we're a little ahead of that. Here's where that daily market structure W might come in. And then they didn't quite confirm it according to or maybe they did. Did we have a divergence here? Yeah, we had a div. And then what happened was the W painted, and then it just came back down and actually made even more aggressive new lows. Now, after those new lows were made in the beginning of the following year, this is January 2015, we V-bottomed, put in some market structure action, and then just went sideways for 7 months, right? So this was 17 months worth of bear market action before, we made our this is really 18 months. We made our final low here, and then the market finally picked up, and it was away we go. That could potentially happen. We could have more of this kind of teasing action where you just suck more people in, and then you just dump the price again. Is this going to repeat itself? Who knows? I mean, the entire landscape is totally different. You have to remember what would be fundamental drivers that would prevent this history from rewriting itself. And to me, the direction on which this backed exchange takes, how they launch this product, how they suck in this real money, And whether or not the real money, the institutional, the hedge funds who are already coming in here, whether or not they start to go crazy into this sector because the broader market is selling off and they need a way of posting returns and they need a way of getting profits. That could potentially happen.
Say, though, looking at your daily chart, and then hopefully you can see I got Phoenix on my chart. Look at the moving averages. They look very similar to sort of like the period. I don't know why I can't see this. I want to see the date on your screen, but I can't.
Tell me where you're looking.
A little bit, yeah, right around there. Yeah, right in that area. A little bit, maybe a little bit before that, right? You know, sort of the 200 SMA and the 30 SMA on my chart are looking very similar to that. So, you know, if we're lucky, maybe we've seen the pivot lows, because, you know, this market's been going against this 6,000 low forever, and it just can't seem to bust through there. And I've often found that, you know, you guys have heard me say this before, the market wants to do business. So it keeps pressing lower and pressing lower and pressing lower, trying to do business, and it just can't get business done. At some point, the market's going to say, fuck it. If you don't want to do business to the downside, let's go see if we can do some business to the upside. That, to me, sort of feels like the kind of market state that we're in right now. I don't know. Call me crazy.
I agree completely. Don't get me wrong. Well, I'm still looking at these charts and I'm going back in time and saying, hey, this bear market lasted 18 months and it looked like, you know, we popped up, but then we went back down. I mean, the fact that what Brian just said is completely true. I mean, the fact that we haven't breached $6,000 is a very clear signal from this market.
Yeah. So if anything, I kind of like, and it would be nice if we had some sort of fundamental event the market could run into. Of course, this SEC that keep like sort of, screwing with everybody's head. But I kind of like the idea of a nice little rally up against these, you know, maybe this the 7,500 high kind of idea, and then a nice little dump, fuck you, against these lows, like you had in your chart there just a minute ago. Break everybody's heart. I thought this was a bull. You always guaranteed money, right? That dump you can see, and again, it's right above Greg's image, so I don't know what date that is.
I didn't realize the heads were there. Sorry, I'll take those off.
Yeah, I think it's my screen. For some reason, I can't see the date on your chart. But anyway, it's here nor there. The point is that I kind of do like a test of the top end of the range, then a dump again against the bottom end of this range, and that marks our ultimate bottom. And if anything, I love the idea of maybe crypto catching a bid here into the end of the year, then having its ultimate low in sort of that February, March area. And that'll be like 12, 13, 14 months. And then we can start the process of finding the bottom. So, you know, if anything, hats off to everybody in this community for having the tenacity to stick in here over the past 10 months. This has been shit. So way to go, guys. I mean, congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you can survive through this and come out the other side and we're back into sort of rah, banging out doubles, all that kind of fun stuff, I have full confidence that you are going to do perfectly fine for the rest of your career trading. So, yeah, anyway, that's sort of my rhetoric here. Okay, it is past the top of the hour. We've had a pretty good talk today. You know, just any new business. I told the community that I was going to go in and buy a little bit back of the XDN that I sold. So you can see I got some fills here on this. I'm playing the OMG, the Verge through this, and also DCR. Geez, that sure is a good looking chart, eh? Decred, playing this through the Tether market. Look at that son of a bitch go, eh? So, you know, I think there are ideas out there. I'm seeing guys like Joshua, just such a stand-up guy, and Josh in the UK as well. So we got a lot of Joshes going here. But you guys are just showing up on. Sorry?
I think we might have a YouTube problem there.
Oh boy, here we go again, eh? Let's see what's going on over here. Is it trapped over on Thomas's screen? Is that what's going on? Oh, there we go. Okay, I see it jumping over.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah. So the point here is that I think that there are opportunities out there. This is, we're speculating. We're risk takers. You just got to build your plan. You got to get in there, and you got to take the setups when they come in. It's just simple as that, guys. All right. Anything? Any closing thoughts here for the good people here today, Thomas? Or do you feel like you've said your piece?
I think that altcoins are starting to look interesting, and I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. Maybe we can start firing up that Binance account and see what the fuck's going on over there now.
I did log into my Bittrex account for the first time in a while, and they made me reset my password. So and luckily, all my orders were still working thanks to Tom's Bittrex script. So I really had no reason to log in.
That's good. All right, Mr. Mayor, what are you thinking? Do you feel like the people got good value for tuning in today?
Totally, like always, I'd say.
Awesome. Okay, so folks, I think we'll probably wrap it up there. Thank you again, Thomas. Great contribution as always. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Alex, for driving this bus and keeping us on the straight and narrow. Thank you, Sjord, for the site update. And as Joshua even said in the lounge here just a few minutes ago, the site is coming along, and I think all of you guys are going to be kissing Sjord virtually going forward on a regular basis, all the fun tools that he's putting together for us. So I'm super stoked about everything here about TRI. Great to see a very active community. Graham rocking class yesterday for the level 1ers. Level 3ers, you all should be diligently working away on your trading checklists and your demon finders and your mistake loggers and all that. You all have your homework. So we'll have a tutorial session on Wednesday to update you guys on that. Level 2ers, you should be working on your horizontal support and resistance trend lines. And this coming weekend, we'll attack moving averages. So, all right, I think we'll probably leave it at that for today, guys. Great stuff as always. Thank you very much. Alex, if you want to take us out of here. I think the only thing left to say is bye for now.